Hi, my name is Tom Holland. I'm a consultant gynaecologist and I specialise in the ultrasound diagnosis and surgical treatment of endometriosis. I also do a lot of research into endometriosis. Endometriosis is important as it affects 1 in 10 women worldwide of reproductive age, and it causes painful periods and infertility.
Hi, my name's Priya and I'm a diversity and inclusion consultant. I have endometriosis, which was diagnosed through surgery around 2 years ago, but it took me about 7 years before that to get the diagnosis. Endo comes with a whole list of symptoms, but definitely the most challenging part for me was the uncertainty of just not knowing what it was, what it meant for the future. So I'm really hopeful that with the research Women in Data and other organisations are conducting, we can make it a much more manageable condition for future generations.
I was first diagnosed with endometriosis in 2014. This comes after years of knowing that my monthly period pain was not normal, having monthly episodes of fainting, not being able to participate in sports, wanting to be sick, just wanting to be in bed, all led me to believe that my period pain wasn't normal. I went to the doctor time and time again and was simply told that this was normal and to simply take the pill, which I did to start off with, and it eased off the pain, but still it wasn't treating the root cause. And then in 2014, after investigative surgery, I was formally diagnosed with endometriosis. It has actually been a huge relief to know that there is a diagnosis and that my pain is normal, from researching and actually speaking to others who've experienced this pain around me as well. For the future, what I would like is greater awareness, more women and men talking about endometriosis, and more time off, or more family-friendly policies at work as well, and just generally some kind of treatment for those who are suffering with this disease.
Hi, my name's Abigail and I'm a health and care consultant, and I was diagnosed with endometriosis 4 years ago. Prior to my diagnosis, I've been living with symptoms of endometriosis for well over 10 years. I struggled to get through the day without reaching for a hot water bottle, a heat pad or painkillers to keep the pain at bay. Thankfully, a couple of years ago I had surgery to treat some of the symptoms of my endometriosis, and I've been living relatively pain-free ever since. But as this treatment option isn't readily available for lots of women, it's also quite scary and quite painful to go through. My hope for the future is we have better treatment options available, we have more support and more information out there so people feel less alone. Thank you.
My hope for the future is that we find either a cure for endometriosis or a treatment that is non-hormonal and has very few side effects and doesn't affect fertility.
Good afternoon, everybody. When we thought about how to introduce today's session, we thought there was nothing better than the people who are suffering from this horrendous disease. And I thought they could do it justice far better than I could. First of all, I want to say thank you to the brave women who told their stories on that video, 2 of whom are in today's audience, one of whom is currently very busy with twins at home, which is a very happy ending to long suffering with endometriosis. And it's really important that we all share our story, because sometimes there are people suffering in silence who don't realise that they're not the only one. And also we all need to educate ourselves on women's health, because it is affecting all of us. It's affecting our loved ones, it's affecting our colleagues that we work with on a daily basis, even if we don't realise it. It's affecting our economy, and it's affecting our very future as a society. Because if we don't tackle it, if we don't tackle infertility issues, then we will not be able to continue society. Indeed, McKinsey and the World Economic Health Forum tell us that we have a $1 trillion problem. that by 2040 we would be able to pump $1 trillion into the global economy, not once, but every single year if we tackled what's happening with women's health. And yet, we still have so many stories where things are not being tackled, people don't feel listened to, we don't have the data to solve the problems that we need to solve. Women are not included in enough clinical trials. We do clinical trials on men and male mice for chronic pain, where 70%, I think, of the studies have been done on men and male mice, yet 70% of the sufferers are women. So we are not getting the sex disaggregated data that we need to understand the problem and to be able to solve things. Endometriosis that we've heard about on the video this morning is just one of the many conditions that women live with, a very debilitating condition that 1 in 10 women globally live with every single day. There is no cure. And there are symptoms that happen throughout their lives. And I'm very lucky to have with me an expert panel today to be able to talk about, not the doom and gloom, I promise, having started off with that, but we talked on the video about our hopes for the future. And my day job is to be a data and AI consultant for JMAN Group, but my passion and the hat I'm here with today is to be co-chair of Women in Data's Women's Health Movement. And I'm really lucky to get to work with other very passionate people who gift their time, because we believe that data can be part of the answer to this problem. And today we're going to talk about our hopes for how data can help solve that. So we really hope you enjoy the panel, and hopefully you will go away inspired to help this women's health movement, because the more of us that can be involved, surely we have to be able to make a difference. So I'm going to hand to Juliet to introduce herself.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Juliet Scott. I'm co-chair partner to Natalie of the Women Data Health, and I'm passionate.
Sorry, we're just trying to sort out. Okay, we have a different mic coming. So you can all be in suspense about how fabulous Juliet is.
Hello, can you hear me now? Great.
Okay, great.
Juliet Scott, co-chair of the Women's Health Initiative at Women in Data. Thank you all for coming today. My background is 20 plus years in data, insight and digital in companies like dunnhumby and eBay, and more latterly doing non-exec roles. But I'm absolutely passionate about tackling the health inequalities and the big health gap. So hence Natalie's partner in crime in this area.
Does my mic work okay? Can you hear me?
No.
Quite quiet. Okay, hear me now? Okay, lovely. Hi, I'm Rachel Heppinstall. I work for Asda. I head up the data practice for Asda. Asda partner with Women in Data for the last couple of years now. I'm not an expert by any means on endometriosis. I'm learning as I go, but I'm very, very passionate about women's health in general, and the lack of factual stats that we've got on women's health. Sorry, what was I going to say? So I'll hand on, sorry.
Go on, can you hear my mic? Yes? Well, hey, 50%, good result. Hi, I'm Emma Cox. I'm Chief Executive at Endometriosis UK, so I am not a data person. But my background, all my career, I've been working in the voluntary sector trying to achieve change. And actually, the only way you achieve change is by giving evidence to government about what's needed, usually cost, to be quite frank. And so, although it sounds really different, but the voluntary sector wouldn't function effectively if it didn't get good data. And as a small charity, we find that really hard. So we're delighted to be working with Women in Data and company Kubrick, who are helping us look at what data we have and really turn that into the facts that will help us try and get societal change. Fantastic. And whilst we've got you, Emma, can you just tell us a little bit about the work you at Endometriosis UK do, just to bring it to life for our audience? Sure. So charity's been going about 42 years, and at the absolute heart of what we do is supporting those with endometriosis. So we have support groups and a helpline and a nurse-led helpline and things like that you'd expect. We're quite a small charity. A lot of what we do is providing information that is of good quality and medically accurate, because actually a lot of the stuff on social media, not so hot. Anyway, so we do support, but we also actively raise awareness, because endometriosis is a condition a lot of people haven't heard about. If you can't pronounce it, do start practicing that word, endometriosis. And yet everyone knows somebody with the disease. So our job is to try and raise awareness over time with decision makers and the public, so that people know about it and also people have it seek help. We then campaign very actively. We want change. I've said that. It's all about change for the better, for the community. And also we support a lot of research, because we know so little about endometriosis, because historically there's been so little research investment in women's health that we don't know what causes it, can't get a cure without a cause, etc. And so we support researchers across the UK and in Europe to support them involving patient perspectives on research.
Brilliant. And you said there's lots we don't know about endometriosis at the moment, but could you give us a little bit more of a feel about the prevalence and impact of endometriosis on women's lives?
Sure. So 1 in 10 women and those assigned female at birth will have endometriosis. So that's everyone here will know someone, at least several people with endometriosis, whether you know that or not. And I realise there'll be people in the room with the disease as well. So it's very common. It's, as you know, where cells similar to the lining of the womb grow elsewhere in the body, and they react to the monthly menstrual cycle. And so it's a real hidden condition, because the scarring, the inflammation, etc., can't be seen. You can't take your womb into and have it like bandaged up. And so it's a really hidden condition that people often don't talk about. And one of the other things I love saying about endometriosis, it has like every taboo. It's about periods, painful pooing, painful sex, it's about infertility. So it's got like 4 taboo areas that people often don't talk about. So that's why it's so great to be able to talk to a different audience about it. I can go on endlessly. Shall I stop there?
Well, perhaps, given the audience, you could tell us a little bit about what you hope data can do to help all these women who are suffering from endometriosis.
One of the challenges we have is that it's a hidden condition, and also it's one that over the years hasn't been treated properly by the NHS. Now I'm talking to data people, so you're going to get this. It's not coded separately in the NHS at primary care, so we don't actually know how many people in primary care are being treated. We don't have stats that disaggregates the different types of endometriosis. So when treatments are looked at, it's like all endometriosis, but there's different places and locations, and actually is that different? So even within the medical sector, there's a lot of work to do, and actually made some great connections today. Like how do we actually get into NHS data to try and analyse that? But importantly, and as I touched on earlier, if we want to achieve change, we have to evidence the need for change. And in a government, and we know we've got a new government, and they've said all the right things about women's health in their manifesto, and they've also identified a big black hole in the public purse. So we are going to have to evidence that by improving care and diagnosis, we will over time reduce the burden on the NHS. So not only reducing suffering, but also supporting the NHS. So without data, we will not be able to do that. So we can tell lovely stories, and that's great, and it's very important that that's awareness. But when push comes to shove, if we can evidence the data behind it, you will know about it better than me. If we can evidence that, that's what's going to make a change in society, and that's why it's been so great to have the opportunity to work with data experts like Kubrick, where we as a small charity can't really analyse the data, but getting experts to really delve in, look at trends, and really support us with analysing our data, we can then make the arguments to try and achieve change, and with everyone else's voice behind it as well.
Amazing. And Juliet, with all your years of experience working with data, what are some of the ways that you think data can start to help tackle some of these issues in women's health?
Well, what we're really interested in the Women's Health Initiative is looking at different data sets, because it feels like in the health sector people get very focused on just the health data rather than looking holistically at women's health. So we're interested in looking at shopping basket data, social data, wearables data, lifestyles data, and trying to encourage the health communities to join these data sets together to get to better results for women. So for example, one of the things we're looking at the moment is retail shopping data. which I've been involved in the past, but actually it's used very little in health. In fact, we found one study in ovarian cancer, but we believe that actually using shopping basket data, we will be able to earlier predict diseases, symptoms of diseases like endometriosis sooner. So we're really keen to explore these areas, and we have some work that's just about to start in that.
And as if by magic, we have someone from a retail organisation on the panel, in Rachel. And obviously, Juliet's talked about the power of retail data. Can you tell us a bit more about how Asda is starting to think about how data can be used for good in this way?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of partnerships, Asda, specifically on health initiatives. We partner with LEADER, the Leeds Institute of Data and Analytics. There's a lot of initiatives that we run with LEADER, and one of the big focuses is HFSS, high fat, salt, sugar. So we do a lot of work on product placement around the supermarket to run analysis based on where those products are placed and what impact that has on kind of customer buying trends.
Brilliant. And what's next for you in terms of the health research work?
So we'll continue to do a lot of work in the health space. There's work we're doing again with LEADER on trying to reduce obesity across the UK. We know that's a massive thing for the UK that we need to go after. And we'll continue with our strong partnership with the charity Tickle Pink Foundation. We do a lot for that charity. We do a lot of fundraising, around breast cancer awareness. But for me personally, it's what this panel's about today, and it's the whole push on endometriosis. And I'm really, really passionate that we get to where we want to with this initiative. So, as Juliet mentioned earlier, what Asda can provide is a whole host of data in the right compliant way, of course, but that will hopefully help with trend analysis over time, and in the hope that we can get an earlier diagnosis for endometriosis.
Brilliant. And we're so happy to have you supporting this work. Outside of data, we've got a load of people working in data. We've also got a load of people who are employers, right, in the room. How do you think, and what are some of your learnings as an employer of hundreds of thousands of people, employers can really foster the right culture for women's health in the workplace?
I think it's got to start from the top but go right to the bottom. So you need exec sponsorship, right? You need that open forum and that open dialogue. So, you need to foster a culture of collaboration. As an employee, as an employee of Asda, a woman of Asda, I want to feel supported and I want to feel comfortable that I can have those conversations and I've got a forum to go to talk about any symptoms I might be having and the impact that might be having on me personally, on my mental health and even on my performance at work. Something I've seen us to do really well, and I'm sure it will be the same with other health initiatives, is menopause used to be a real taboo subject, right? May still be a taboo subject at some organisations, but Asda's done this really well, and I've worked for Asda for 13 years, so I've seen the change. And now we talk about it, it's an open subject, it's not a taboo subject. The fact of the matter is that women will hit menopause at some point. The fact of the matter is that they're going to have some symptoms, and some of those symptoms may impact their work, it could impact, a ton of stuff. It's really important that organisations are open to that, face into it, but more importantly, give their employees the ability to be able to have those conversations. I know that, I know my line manager's in the audience actually, but I know that I could sit down and have a conversation with him about symptoms I was having and I'd get the support, that I needed. And I think that it's really, really important that as a organisation, doesn't matter what size you are, that you've got that open collaboration and dialogue on an ongoing basis.
And Emma, I know you do work with employers as well. What's your advice to the employers in the room?
So we, for people with endometriosis, quite often employment is a real challenge. So it's a real spectrum condition, endometriosis. Some people might have no symptoms, it might have no impact, whilst for others it can be debilitating. And it's different person to person. So because of the importance, we've worked with some really big household name employers to develop an endometriosis-friendly employer scheme. I would encourage you all to consider taking part. It's around about looking at how, making sure, as you say, from the top down, that there's understanding that endometriosis and menstrual health conditions can impact on some people. They will impact differently. different people, and being able to have in place the flexibility to support those people. And in an office setting, we can see how you could do that. So potentially maybe people will know their cycle. They might, if they've got know there's pain at certain times in their cycle, they might want flexibility to work from home and not commute. They might not want to do a massive team presentation that day, maybe, looking how they can schedule that. And a whole range of just being flexible and recognising that sometimes people may have symptoms they need support with. But what about when you're in the police and you're a detective? Or what about when you're a BA cabin crew? And we're also working with a lot of police forces, British Airways and various other organisations where you don't have the luxury of having an office-based setting. And I think let's think of all our colleagues who don't have nice desk jobs. And we're also working to see how we can support those people as well. So what we've found is by encouraging organisations to become endometriosis-friendly employers, shows a commitment to consider people with endometriosis, and if I'm honest, other menstrual health conditions, because it is only one of several menstrual health conditions. It'll get your HR team understanding around conditions that are intermittent. We have a tendency in the UK that we understand like someone injured and having time off, but something that happens every couple of months, you might need the odd day. Oh, well, that's skiving, isn't it? Because why would you do that? And so it's about trying to make sure you understand your employees and give them the best possible way of contributing. And I would just like to add that research shows that those with long-term conditions like endometriosis take off less time sick with other conditions because they know damn well that they're not going to be off sick if they don't need to be, because they might need time off sick in the future. So it's a win-win all round really if you can become an endometriosis friendly employer.
Amazing. And I'm sure there's some people in the room saying, this is great. You said that you were able to talk to your manager, which is fantastic. But it's brilliant to see some men here as well as women, because sometimes when we do women's health talks, we only get women, and actually it's something that all of us need to educate ourselves about. So thank you very much for coming. But if I'm perhaps sitting here as a male manager in the room, thinking, well, I really want to be supportive, but how do I even navigate this and how do I go about it? What would your advice be?
Well, if you want some simple advice, check out our website. We've got resources there about it. And I think the thing is, it's about not being scared to have the conversation, and it's about knowing about the disease. And so if someone comes to you and starts talking about it, you're not going like, whoa, periods, don't want to talk about that, but you're actually sort of saying, oh yeah, I've heard of that. And what we recommend is that people appoint an endometriosis champion, and that could be someone in HR or somebody who has personal experience of the condition, so that there's somebody that managers can talk about to get support if they do have someone coming to them. We're not all experts in everything, are we? So it's about saying, well, who in the organisation can just know enough that we know how to support people as we would any other medical condition.
Brilliant. And Juliet, from a women in data, women's health perspective, let's start with the positives. What are you excited about in terms of the opportunities?
Well, I'm going to just reiterate what Rachel was saying. I'm really excited about the shopping basket analysis that we are hoping to undertake shortly. We've got the support from our great partners, ASDA, to get the shopping basket data. We have all the experts on board to supervise it. We have a safe environment at LEADA and Leeds to do the work in. And we have a very clear hypothesis, so we know what we're doing. What we're looking for now is an academic researcher who's interested in this area. So if you are one, or you know one, please do get in contact. We don't think it will take up all of your time, but obviously this is an important piece of work, and we're looking for the right partner to come and help us, fully supported by the rest of the gang on that. But you can get involved more broadly too. So yes, we're focused on endometriosis, but we are interested in all life stages of women's health. So if there's any particular areas you're in, do let us know. You can sign up to the community here, the Women in Data Health community. We have meetups, we have get-togethers, we have lunch and learns. We're there to sort of support you, to work with you, to learn from you, to share information as we get it. So I would encourage you all to join the community whenever you can. I can see some of you already looking at it, so that's great. But you can also, if you're an employer in this room and you're interested in getting involved, we are looking for more partners to undertake the pro bono analysis that we've done with endometriosis, but in other areas, following the lead of Kubrick, who've been such an amazing partner helping us do some pro bono work for Emma. So get in contact if you're an employer or if you're interested yourself in any women's health initiative, please do join up.
Brilliant. And you mentioned the researcher. What have some of the challenges been? You know, I sort of say to people, if this was easy, it would have been done by now. Perhaps share a bit with the audience about some of the challenges we face as we try and get this work done.
Yeah, I mean, I naively thought, oh, shopping basket analysis, I've done this for over 20 years ago and using it for a banking sector, insurance sector, for risk analysis. But actually, when you get into this big world of health, the world slows down and gets very complicated. Now, obviously, this is because we're dealing with people's health and their data. But, you know, we're all data professionals. We know how to look after data. But actually, the research world and the academic research world moves at a more glacial pace than we tend to like to move at. So we've really been struggling to get the academics on board, because though they go, wow, this is really cool, and I've never thought of shopping basket data for health before, it's sort of new to them. So the challenge has been actually, you know, opening up the health academics' view of it being something they can look at different data sets to solve problems.
So anybody who knows any academic researchers, we would really, really love to hear from them, because they are the key to making this longer term work a success. And we're starting with endometriosis, but we really hope that that's just going to prove a method that can be used for all sorts of different women's health conditions. And Julia, what about your hopes for the future?
Well, I'm really keen that we help empower women by sharing information, making them feel part of a community, so that you can all look after your own health a little bit better by being a little bit more informed. So that's a key thing. And also, I just want us to do health research quicker and better in women's health, because it is just not going fast enough. And as Natalie touched on, we're talking about, very importantly, endometriosis, and the stats there are horrifying, but there are so many other conditions that women either have a propensity to get diseases more like arthritis and things like that more than men do, and as well as, you know, diseases that obviously are particularly personal to women because of their gender.
And we've talked about the different roles that employers can play. One of the things we're also doing as Women in Data is looking to campaign for change. And as an employer, you have lots of levers where people want to work with you. So, for example, you put out tenders for procurement, and you have the chance at that point to ask people lots of questions. That is one of the biggest levers for change, because when people want to get your money, people are prepared to do stuff to do it, right? So if we've got people sitting in the room who have any influence on putting out contracts, we would love to see you, as well as asking questions about the diversity and inclusion policies of the businesses that you're working with, to think about asking them some questions about what they're doing in women's health. Because by asking the question, the movement starts to happen, right? It was very unusual back in 2010 to ask people questions about diversity and inclusion in procurement processes. But now it's absolutely commonplace that is just part of what is asked. And people have to meet certain requirements in order to be able to work with you. And that has really shifted the game on things, because people know they have to do that in order to be able to access contracts they care about. So we want to see women's health happening in the same way. So if you have any influence over that, that's another really tangible action that you can take to be able to start to make a difference in this, to start those conversations happening in the workplace. And Rachel, can I ask you, like, if you had sort of one hope for the future in this area, what would it be?
To make the movement that we need, right? We've got to get the stats, and we've got to get reduce that, you know, the time to. Oh, where are we? But you know, we just need to get the stats. Yeah, we need people to lean in and help. And it's not just endometriosis; it's women's health fact, where you know, we've got a real lack of factual stats. So, you know, lean in, let's make a movement. It'd be great to be back here in 12 months' time presenting, you know, what we've actually managed to achieve, wouldn't it?
And Emma, perhaps we can finish with your hope for the future.
Sure, I have to have three. One is that we use endometriosis as an exemplar to find data, and then we can replicate that across different conditions. Secondly, is I absolutely believe that if we can get data analysis right within the NHS, we will reduce diagnosis time significantly by picking up patterns of disease and how people present, and so that people are just automatically pulled out. And I think as well is just, I think being able to speak to a different audience, is data is so key to campaigning. So I've always worked in campaigning, but if any of you have a passion, whether that's women's health or anything else, your skills are really important. So please do support the causes you believe in. Thank you.
I was just going to, before I let you clap the panel, I was just going to conclude by saying that we really do believe this work. We're not going to change things overnight. We know that this is a hard thing to do, but we can make it easier to live with for this generation. And we really believe we can change things for the next generation so that our daughters, our granddaughters don't have to suffer in the same way that perhaps some people in this room have. So we really hope you'll join our movement. I'm incredibly grateful to the panel. I'm also incredibly grateful. We are all volunteers, and I'm incredibly grateful to the partners without whom it wouldn't be possible. Kubrick, Capgemini and JMAN Group really help us make this possible. If you're a business who would like to get involved, we would love to hear from you. And in the meantime, I hope you have a brilliant day, and a huge thank you to our fabulous panel.